Things are finally picking up for Drama Queen. There's suspense, drama, and finally some action. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the author is locking in. I've been really enjoying this series overall, and it's been fun reading it week to week. If there's any other series you want me to jump into or keep up with, let me know. I've been thinking about covering the manga Tower Dungeon, which is made by the same creator who did Blame. So let me know if you guys would be interested in that as well. One last thing before we get into it, if you're not caught up to the current chapter, I made a playlist covering all the previous chapters. You can click on the top right corner or go to the link in the description. As always, thank you for watching, now on to the video. Currently, Katami is in a bit of a pickle thanks to Backbone. She wants Katami's help killing everyone including Nomamoto. And something I would like to point out is she asked this while he was still tied up, not letting him go until she hears his answer, which leaves Katami with two options. He can either fess up and expose himself and Nomamoto's secret, thus most likely getting him axed right there on the spot, or he can temporarily agree and think of something along the way. He first tries to talk his way out, asking Backbone if she's crazy for wanting to kill Nomamoto, a fellow human. I mean, yeah, she's a traitor, but does killing her really justify it? Backbone hits Katami back with a crazy reply. She says basically make her body disappear at the same time as you kill her, that way you won't feel bad. Which if we zoom out a little bit, with how Backbone is acting, it's showing how desperate she is in this situation. She's trying to quickly determine whether or not Katami has a disposal method, and the cracks are starting to show. But to her surprise, or perhaps suspicion, Katami agrees to help kill Nomamoto. And speaking of Nomamoto, we cut to her talking to Huntaway. In the last chapter, Nomamoto explained to Huntaway that she wanted the bodies delivered to her dead. In that panel, it was just left with a huh? But now we get a closer look at the scenario going down. Nomamoto shares that she's not strong enough to take out people on her own. And besides, it's proper manners to present food that's easy to eat. This seems to shock Huntaway, causing him to drop his cigarette. He immediately picks up Nomamoto and is taking her back to the room where he still thinks Katami and Backbone are tied up, which to me is quite interesting. Huntaway seems to know, or at least has the knowledge, that maybe this situation has happened before, that humans might be able to eat their species. It could also be that perhaps it's a sign of an alien-human hybrid. I mean, as far as we know, Nomamoto is the only person who's been able to stomach eating the aliens, and nobody else has tried to eat them except for Katami. Again, as far as we know. Otherwise, I don't believe the organization that Backbone is a part of would be so desperate for this information. Another quick theory is that maybe when the aliens arrived on Earth, they encountered a more primitive or perhaps ancient version of themselves, which would be the squid, and Huntaway realizes what his own species could taste like. In the first chapter, Nomamoto describes the aliens as tasting like and smelling like squid. Now back to Huntaway and his crew arriving, they are greeted to an empty room. As soon as some of the goons go to check the bathroom, they are immediately ambushed. Katami is able to defeat his guy no problem, but Backbone takes a heavy punch to the face, causing her head to scramble and her nose to bleed. My guess is she got a concussion. Huntaway, now being put in a corner, threatens to take Nomamoto's life, but Katami tells him to go ahead. When Huntaway does that, he can take his life. We then see Katami and Nomamoto exchange glances, and I think for the first time in this mission, Nomamoto has a more serious look to her. Huntaway decides he's now ill-equipped for this battle, and grabs Nomamoto and runs away, heading towards the elevator with Katami close behind him. We then see Backbone can't keep up and she collapses to the ground, calling after them. Again, another indicator that the damage she took is quite severe, and she might be experiencing some heavy brain trauma. But not enough to still come to the conclusion that Katami will be able to catch up to Huntaway and dispose of him. She needs to see how they dispose of these alien bodies, and with that determination, she gets up and chases after everyone. Huntaway makes it to the elevator, but it's taking too long, so he decides to try the stairs, while also trying to call one of his friends. He mentions two names in particular, Takun and Kengo, so pay attention to these names, as one or if not both might show up later. But trying to juggle running away and texting results in Huntaway falling down the stairs. Another great example why you shouldn't move and text at the same time, be it driving or running away. But despite falling, he's able to try and succeed in grabbing a hold of Nomamoto's sleeve. But unfortunately for Huntaway, there was a tear in her suit, resulting in him falling down the stairs and injuring his back to the point of being unable to move. And let me just say, that was some funny foreshadowing. I thought it was just a throwaway gag where at the start of the mission, Nomamoto complained about her new suit. But turns out, as I keep saying with this author, he will keep you on your toes. So you really have to pay attention, or at least I will when it comes to this manga. But as Huntaway is now paralyzed on the floor, Katami springs into action and eliminates Huntaway, just in the nick of time, shouting at Nomamoto to eat Huntaway before Backbone arrives. And on the last page, we get a shot of Nomamoto eating Huntaway, ending this chapter on probably what I think is the climax of the first mission. Maybe. Let me elaborate. I see a few ways this next chapter could play out. The first being that Backbone arrives and sees how the duo disposes of the body, which would result in Katami and Nomamoto having to fight her, which is pretty straightforward and makes the most sense. But the second idea, even though it's a little crazy, might be possible as well. What if Backbone sees how the duo disposes of the aliens and tries to take that info to her boss, but Katami and Nomamoto deny this because of Backbone's injuries? They could be like, "No boss, she's crazy, we don't eat aliens. Backbone just has severe brain damage and can't think straight," which who knows what would happen from there. The third option I foresee is that one of Huntaway's buddies shows up and some chaos starts happening, but I think that's probably the least likely of the three options. There's already so much happening in the first arc, or maybe mission is a better word to call it. I don't see the author tossing out multiple bogeys so soon. So those are my theories, and the only other takeaway I have is how much damage one punch did to Backbone. It doesn't make too much sense to me that if she was the assassin or the one to eliminate the aliens, she wouldn't have better combat skills in order to defend herself. But then again, I guess she's an assassin, not a fighter. And after all, it is a crazy situation. But one thing she has managed to do, despite how crazy things are, is that she has an incredible deductive reasoning skill. She's been pretty much on the spot the whole time overall. I'd say she's definitely pieced out like 95% of the puzzle. But then again, I've been wrong guessing with this manga before. Let me know down below what you guys think. If you've enjoyed this video and if I'm getting better at my deductive reasoning skills. Or if, like Backbone, I've gotten brain damage from this situation. As always, thank you for watching. I've been Boogdagoob. Peace!